As we deal with some cold rain, other parts of Texas are seeing a variety of wintry weather, from ice and heavy snowfall to foggy and drizzly, even freezing conditions. We have a look across the Lone Star State. But first, let's take a live look outside here in Central Texas. It is a cloudy, rainy, and cold day over downtown Austin. And though the city is primarily seeing a lot of rain this afternoon, other parts of the state are seeing some thick snowfall. Here's what conditions look like in Denton, where you can see big snowflakes falling from the sky, leaving much of the ground covered in a white blanket. We'll have a live report from North Texas here in just a bit.
And to the west, snow is covering the roads in parts of the Texas Panhandle. You're looking now at Callahan County. That's near Abilene, where a large buildup of snow and ice are creating some pretty tough driving conditions throughout much of the area. And joining us now in the KXAN Weather Center is Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon with a look for us at the cold ahead.
Yeah, and still more rain ahead too over the next few hours. Just this cold, soaking rain here in Austin anyway. But in parts of the hill country, we've been getting some ice. In fact, more of you are sending in your photos to report it at KXAN.com of icicles dripping off of branches, trees, other outdoor objects. And keep those photos coming. We're collecting them all. We'll be sharing some of them a little later in this newscast. This is how it looks in high in western Blanco County in the hill country from our Covington Cellars camera. We've been looking closely to see if we can see any ice dripping there, but it just looks cold and wet as it is across much of the area right now. With a widespread rain, say about 95% of us are dealing with the rain, the plain rain, and that includes the Austin metro. But then you start to see some of the pink showing up as we get into the hill country. These are the areas that we're more concerned about potentially some spotty icing, especially in those areas that are hovering closer to 31 or 32. Our eastern counties, you haven't had to worry about any icing, but it is still raining steadily for you as well. The temperatures have been key. 31 below freezing in Lampasas right now. We're at freezing in Burnett, but above freezing across the vast majority of the area. So for most of us, it is just a cold rain. But in the hill country where those temperatures are just a little bit colder, there could be some additional areas of freezing rain this evening and overnight. So the winter weather advisory does continue until 6 in the morning. For the majority of us, mid-30s and holding steady with plenty of rain here tonight. Those rain chances do start to drop late evening. We think the rain is all done with during the first few hours of tomorrow morning. So we'll keep tracking the soaking as well as the potential for not just spotty icing, but some may see a bit of overnight snow. We'll talk about that as well as a drying and warming trend that kicks off tomorrow.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And this wintry mix is causing some Central Texas schools to delay the start of class tomorrow. You can find that full list at the bottom of the screen right there or online at KXAN.com. There were also widespread class cancellations impacting the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
And many people are opting to stay inside, but our Capitol Bureau reporter Dylan McKim did not make that same choice. He spent the day out in the North Texas snow, and he joins us live now from outside AT&T Stadium. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, good evening, guys. Yeah, it's been a interesting and very cold day today. Right now we have freezing rain, but it's been so diverse in this area. If you're driving down the road, it can go from this freezing rain all of a sudden to these really big snowflakes in literally an instant. Right now I'm standing in a lot of this rain, and it's really accumulating on the streets and on the sidewalk. It's like I'm standing in a puddle right now, and that's leading to these unsafe conditions that state officials were worried about yesterday in those driving conditions. It's led to these really slick and slippery roads, not only just in the neighborhoods, but also on those major roadways. And if you remember yesterday, the governor was warning Texans to be safe when they're driving because we're not used to these kind of conditions here in the Lone Star State. And that was true when we were driving around today. We saw a lot of crashes along the major roadways here, people sliding off the road. We did see TxDOT crews out here with snowplows trying to get as much of the ice off the roadway as they could. We were also looking at the power grid. Now, officials told us that yesterday the power grid was good enough to provide enough energy to service the entire state through this winter storm, and that's exactly what we saw. I spoke to one Texas man who was here back in 2021 during that terrible winter freeze we experienced where a lot of people lost power. He said this year he felt a lot better.
At this point, you know what I'm saying, we're prepared for it now. You know what I'm saying? We're very, very much got prepared for it this time around.
Now, TxDOT crews did bring up some crews from South Texas to this area to help with de-icing the road. That's because we do have the Cotton Bowl happening tomorrow in Arlington. That's Texas Longhorns taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes, and that should bring a big Texas crowd to the Arlington area. And if you are coming to this area, make sure you are driving safe, because the National Weather Service here in Fort Worth is telling us that tonight and into tomorrow morning will be the most unsafe driving conditions, just because of how much liquid and water has accumulated on the roads. It's going to possibly freeze overnight and lead to those really icy and slick roads tomorrow. So if you are planning on driving to the game tomorrow or being in this area, be sure to be safe, take it slow, and get there on time. Reporting live here in Arlington, Dylan McKim. We'll send things back to you guys.
All right, Dylan, thank you so much. Well, back here at home, Central Texas is having a pretty brisk afternoon with a soaking widespread rain settling over the area.
And in the Hill Country, the weather has prompted Fredericksburg to delay the opening of all city buildings until 10 a.m. tomorrow. That's where we find KXAN's Brianna Hollis, who is monitoring conditions on the ground for us there. What's it look like out there, Bree?
So crews have told me they are starting to observe icing mainly in the northwest pockets of the Hill Country, but nothing notable on the roadways so far. We personally are observing and monitoring this bridge just outside of downtown Fredericksburg to see if there's any icing. Nothing yet. It's just water, but the entire road's saturated. So if we hit those right conditions, this is going to get very slick very quickly. We have been all over the Hill Country today. It's been raining steadily since 2 p.m. when we got here to Fredericksburg, but we started the day in Burnett talking about preparations there. Burnett County Commissioner Joe Don Dockery grateful for the latest forecast models.
Low pressure system has slowed. We're going to have some warming in critical times.
But he says crews across the county still prepared aggressively and will remain hyper vigilant with a major focus on roads.
We're using sand on the south end of the county, and we've got sand available, and we're going to have trucks available to address any especially elevated structures that we have.
The rain still holding off as we left Burnett just before noon, but it slowly started as we headed south into Marble Falls, picking up even more as the afternoon went on and we headed further south into Johnson City.
The rain's getting a little bit sharper, which is when you know it's getting a little bit colder.
That's where we found Alexis Archer and Lee Casepier, who work off Main Street in the small Hill Country town, both of them with road conditions top of mind.
In my apartment complex, there's two ways to get out, but they're both like hilly, and one you're turning directly onto the main road, so you're worried about skidding out.
Well, I had to make a run into San Antonio, but I got an early start so that I could beat most of the moisture.
Drive slow, don't brake hard, that's when you're gonna slide, and you know, if you don't want to go out, don't risk your life or your car.
And even though we've just got rain here right now, we are starting to get some reports from viewers about trees and power lines starting to ice over. We'll have some of those images for you from the Hill Country tonight at 6. Back to you.
All right, Bree, thank you so much. Turning now to California, where fire crews from multiple states continue to fight the destructive and the deadly wildfires burning through parts of Los Angeles. Taking a live look now from Mount Wilson, California, you can see pretty thick smoke billowing out from the mountain range. At least 5 wildfires in the area continue to burn out of control. About 180,000 people have been forced from their homes, and at least 5 people have died. NBC's Jennifer Bjorklund shows us the scene.
It is day 3 of the firestorm sweeping through Los Angeles County.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
And Palisades is just one of the multiple fires burning. For firefighters, the struggle is around the clock against the fast-moving, unpredictable flames.
We're fighting fire on one side, and then all of a sudden the wind changes direction, and now we're fighting on multiple fronts.
Those flames advancing due to strong winds, some hurricane force.
We had gusts up to 99 miles an hour, and firefighters, we're used to the Santa Ana winds. What we're not used to is these erratic winds and the 2-mile ember casting.
But officials say after days of bad news, there is progress.
While we are still facing significant threats, I am hopeful that the tide is turning.
In neighborhoods hit hard by the fires, blocks of destruction, entire businesses destroyed, homes completely gone, families feeling helpless.
First home purchase, so it's like you work hard for your American dream and
A dream that is now gone. Jennifer Bjorklund, NBC News, Los Angeles.
And many of the images you've seen this week may make you wonder how you can help. On KXAN.com right now, we've got a list of links where you can make a donation to help California families who have found themselves suddenly without a home. We've also provided links you can use to support emergency responders and wildlife organizations. And if you have your phone, you can scan this QR code on the screen right now. The Red Cross has activated this fundraising page to benefit victims, and we'll also have that link at KXAN.com.
Well, it's been an emotional day in Washington. The nation pausing to honor and remember former President Jimmy Carter during his funeral at the National Cathedral.
And as NBC's Jay Gray reports, all 5 living presidents attended the services, as well as dignitaries from around the world and the former president's family and friends.
Jimmy Carter's final stop in Washington, like so much in his life, defined by faith.
And whoever liveth.
The National Cathedral filled with family, friends, dignitaries, the 5 living presidents sitting together, President Biden delivering the eulogy his friend requested.
To make every minute of our time here on earth count. That's the definition of a good life. The life Jimmy Carter lived during his 100 years.
President Carter didn't particularly enjoy politics, but understood its importance to his life's mission, bringing change and help to those who need it the most.
He built houses for people that needed homes. He eliminated diseases in forgotten places. He waged peace anywhere in the world, wherever he saw a chance. He loved people.
The very definition of a servant leader, few in or outside the political arena have matched his impact as a global humanitarian.
I hope someday.
Or his commitment to peace. Still, no matter what he did or where he traveled, he would always come home to Plains, Georgia, making that trip one last time today. As a nation gives thanks and honors Jimmy Carter for a century of dedication and love for his country and fellow man. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
As President-elect Donald Trump's comments on renaming the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America generate widespread reaction, Governor Greg Abbott has thrown the Lone Star State's name in the ring. On social media platform X, Galveston vacation rental The Salty Dog Galveston posted a map of the Gulf with the words Gulf of Texas written over the water. Governor Abbott then reposted it saying, quote, "If we are going to rename things, this is the move," end quote. Going in depth on this, changing the geographic name of a natural feature like the Gulf of Mexico would require a complex process. If President-elect Donald Trump were to change its name, he would have to submit a proposal to the U.S. Board of Geographic Names. But according to the U.S. Geological Survey, there would need to be a compelling reason to change it in order for the proposal to go forward. The Gulf of Mexico is also a special case in that a proposed name change would require international acceptance from Mexico, as well as possible input from international organizations.
Well, we are just over 24 hours away from the Texas Longhorns kicking off against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl for a chance to clinch a spot in the national championship.
And KXAN's Noah Gross is with the team as they prepare for the Rumble at AT&T Stadium in a snowy North Texas. Noah.
Yeah, our viewers know I hate the heat, so this is a welcome change. I will not be complaining about this. At 5 when we spoke, I did not have a winter jacket or a beanie on, but things got a little chillier than I anticipated, so we had to bundle up here in Irving, Texas. As you said, a day away from the Cotton Bowl. Texas one step from making the national championship game. Their opponent in front of them, man, possibly their toughest this season. Yes, that includes Georgia, the team they lost to twice. It is Ohio State, a team playing as good at football as anybody. So good, Ohio State is favored in this game. Texas is the underdog for the first time since last season when they went on the road and Tuscaloosa to play an Alabama team. Steve Sarkisian's trying to play it up, saying Texas is a massive underdog. Wouldn't go that far, but it's certainly something he's talked about with his group, but it's really not the end-all, be-all for his program.
I could probably poll everybody in this room, and you'd probably all agree they're the favorite to win the game. And that's okay, but that's football, that's sport. That's why we have to do what we do. So not going to back off of what I said. The reality is the reality. Now we have to go perform. That's our responsibility as a football team to go perform. But they've earned that right because of the way they've played here the past couple weeks.
They certainly have, having dominated Tennessee in the first round when they hosted them in Columbus, and then the Rose Bowl last week, just crushing Oregon over in Pasadena. So we'll have more at 6 from Sark and Ryan Day. For now, we'll send it back over to you.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Noah, appreciate that. You've got snow, Noah. We've got some icy spots in Burnett. These are some photos taken by Jay Taylor, showing some of the frosty, icy-looking trees and brush just outside of the city of Burnett there. And certainly some spots in the hill country could be icy going into this evening and overnight. We've got more photos that we'll be sharing again at 6. But if you've got ice where you are and you can safely take a photo, send it to reportit@KXAN.com. We'd really appreciate it. For most of us, it's plain rain, but you head up 35 and then you get into that thicker wintry mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain, just like where Noah was. Area of low pressure right here, and you can see the moisture spinning around it, and still plenty of that moisture coming in from the southwest. So it's still going to be raining for several more hours here tonight, which is great news in the grand scheme of things. We really need the rain, and we're starting to get some totals in the hill country over an inch already, and it's still raining there. I am not as worried about this blue shading showing up and meaning snow yet. In the metro. Our computer looks at the radar, looks at surface temperatures and the temperature profile in the atmosphere, and then it makes an approximation of the precipitation type. And we're not getting any reports just yet of anything other than rain in the western metro. But you get into the hill country, a bit more confident that there's going to be some of this freezing rain reaching the ground in some areas. And then here we go, several more hours of rain to come. Some of it heavy, most of it just steady and moderate, but it's going to continue here through late evening. This is 8 o'clock. Most of us still rain. Spotty freezing rain continues in the hill country as the back edge of the rain gradually slides east. I think we'll see an ending window between about 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. as this wet weather slides through and out. As the rain ends, we may see it briefly turning to snow. You can see some of the blue showing up on the back edge of the last round of rain. Wouldn't be surprised if you're up at 1, 2 in the morning and you're looking at radar and you're seeing your rain about to end. Keep an eye out because there could be some snowflakes that fly too. And then our day tomorrow, mostly cloudy but much drier. There could be a few flurries or sprinkles during the day tomorrow. Not going to amount to anything, but a cloudy, chilly, breezy day here for your Friday with just a few breaks of sun. But skies clear late in the day. You may see some sun just before the sun sets, and then we set ourselves up for a clear night tomorrow night. How much additional ice? Still less than 1/10 of an inch. In spots. Not all of the hill country gets that. Of course, it's going to be those elevated surfaces, bridges, trees, branches that get that. How much snow? Some coatings possible, especially in parts of San Saba, Lampasas, northwest Mason counties. The rest of the hill country, even the metro, may see a few flakes if you're up at night to see them. And then many of us ending up eventually with this 1 to 1.5 inches of rain, including what's fallen now, but there's more to come, less than an inch for parts of the hill country. So rain coverage at about 90% for us here tonight. Temperatures down to 34 in Austin, where we've been near much of the day. Then we're up to 44 here tomorrow with just a 10% chance for a few flurries or sprinkles. Warming up for the weekend after a freezing start Saturday, 55 in the afternoon. We'll go with 60 on Sunday. Then a cold front late Sunday knocks us back into the 50s for most of next week. A tiny rain chance Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be right back.
It's It's a race against the clock for TikTok as a potential ban heads to the Supreme Court tomorrow. According to the Wall Street Journal, the popular video sharing app, which has garnered millions of American users, could disappear from app stores 10 days from now. Tomorrow, TikTok will present its case before Supreme Court justices as it tries to delay a law requiring the app to cut ties with its Chinese parent company or face a U.S. ban.